Good evening, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video planned out for you guys today, but before I do, I want to take a quick minute to just do a couple quick questions for a few people. So AI, if you can, double check the zip code that you sent me on Discord. I am going to be sending out your package tomorrow. I actually sent you a Discord question. Hillbilly Stacker. Or Hillbilly Stock Picks, I should say. I need you to reach out to me in an email. John W., I sent you a quick email. If you can, double check that. I proposed a question if you would rather have what you had or if you would rather have one of these in its place. You will get that email as soon as you check your email. Scott McNeil, I did receive your email. You did not catch that you were the third place winner for April and you were the first place winner for May. So if you double check that live stream, you will see that I have two prizes here for you, and I sent you some information too. And unknown, I actually did get your request on email, and yes, I actually just got in 100 of them. So I will be making out some trades with some people that have stuff here sitting for them. So with that being said, though, we're going to jump into the video. That was kind of my quick little recap. I had to put that out there. That way I know these people watch the videos, but sometimes they don't always catch the emails and stuff. So that's why I had to put it out there. Real quick, I want to start off too by saying thank you all for watching the channel. Thank you all for hitting that thumbs up button. I can't thank you enough. And I got a great video planned out. It could be seen as a follow-up video to a video we did probably 3 months ago about the penny. And yes, I'm also going to be talking about inflation. I'm going to be talking about a few different things. But for those of you that don't know, the penny is officially going away. Not rumors, not anything. It is official from the U.S. Mint. They are done making the penny once this last batch of planchets are used up. Now, when do they estimate that will be used up? Sometime in the beginning of 2026. So that means there could be a handful of pennies floating around from 2026. So make it a point to, if you are a collector, try to get your hands on one of them 2026 pennies, maybe even some rolls, some boxes. And if you're not a collector of pennies, you may want to put some away. I mean, a box of pennies is only $25. It's well worth it, in my opinion, to buy a box and just put it up, put it in your attic, put it somewhere where it's just going to sit for a long time, and the pennies may be gone. For those of you, that's what we're going to be talking about today, that and why they're getting rid of the penny, the inflation. We're going to talk a little bit about that, because it's not just the cost of making a penny is too much. It's the use of a penny is slowly going away. You can't buy anything for a penny anymore. You can't even get a piece of penny candy. There is no penny candy. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. If you are in Canada or in a country that has gotten rid of the penny or the 1 cent coin or the smallest denomination coin that your country has, maybe it's a penny, maybe it's a centavio, I think they call it in Mexico. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on, what happened when the penny went away in your country, especially Canada, because they're right next door to us. And I'm kind of curious. I was talking to a couple friends today about, what will happen if your bill comes out to $25.42. Are they going to round up to a nickel? Are they going to round down to 40 cents? What happens if you're paying with a credit card or a debit card? Does it still come out to the exact same amount? Those are some of the questions I'm curious about. And what are the pennies worth in your country now? Because I've heard in Canada, a 1 cent Canadian coin, which has been discontinued, are 5 cents each now. And I'm curious if that's kind of true. And, can you go to the coin shop and still get them? Because here in the U.S., people collect pennies. And it's not just here in the U.S. It's all over. Because I actually looked up a coin shop in the Philippines where I would like to go someday. And I found out that newer pennies are in high demand, which was kind of crazy to me, that people are paying 50 pesos for 1 penny. Now, a peso It takes 50 pesos to equal a dollar. That means a new penny you can pretty much get a dollar for in the Philippines. However, how many people are going to bring pennies to the Philippines? Well, I know one guy that accidentally brought too many to Canada one time, and if he had gotten caught with them, he might have gotten in trouble from what I heard. Now, the thing is, those pennies actually came back with me. It was in 2017. I went to Canada, and I had too many pennies in my truck. Now, some of y'all know what's special about 2017. That was the first year they put the P on the penny. I was lucky enough. I heard it from a subscriber. I was talking about it. Me and my son were making a couple jokes one day about the remaining 2 cents that was left on the table, and neither of us wanted to take it. And then he made a joke and said, "It's a 2017 P. You sure you don't want it?" And I took it, and I looked, and it was. And then that got our ball rolling. I first said, "They are," and then he said, "Whatever." And then I showed him, and I went up to the counter, got a roll of pennies, asked him where they banked, then went to that bank, got a box of pennies, and then followed it up by going to every bank from that company all over Maine. I went to Augusta, Waterville, Bangor, Kennebunk, all the way up and around Maine, basically, looking for those pennies. And we brought back something like 50 boxes of 2017 P pennies back to Texas. And I've already traded a lot of them off. I still have some. But pennies are an amazing coin. It's a coin that people have collected for years. I mean, think of how long pennies have been around. They go all the way back to the Flying V. The Flying Eagles. They've had the Indian pennies, the wheat pennies, and the Lincoln pennies. I'm not a hardcore coin collector. However, I do look for opportunity. What is opportunity? Opportunity is when coins come out that I find out are going to be in high demand, and I can trade those coins for silver. That's an awesome opportunity. What other opportunities? Obviously, the 2017 P pennies was a golden opportunity. The 2009 penny was a golden opportunity. And I believe the 2025 will be a golden opportunity if you're lucky enough to find a new roll of 2025 pennies. And I believe the 2026 are going to be probably the biggest of all-time opportunities because the amount they're going to make of them, I think, are going to be very few. I think they're going to basically run out right around the first or second month, which is exactly what the U.S. Mint said. You know, they're going to have some left over. Now, that could change if all of a sudden the demand picks up on the pennies, but how many of us tinfoil hat people are out there and going to run out and start buying boxes of pennies? Here's the thing. This is not the first time I've talked about this on the channel. I actually talked about this about 2 months ago, and as soon as it happened, I went to the bank, and I bought some boxes of pennies. And when I went, the very first time I went, I talked to them, and they said, it's not a big deal. I don't have any right now because everybody's paranoid that they're going to run out of pennies, and I can order you some, and they'll be here next week. And I said, okay, I'll take a couple boxes. And that was the end of it. And I'll be honest, I kind of put it on the back burner. I forgot about it. And now that it's coming back up and that they're putting it out official, a lot more people are going to be talking about this. A lot more people are going to want the penny. And there's a lot of reasons why. The collectability is just one thing. I mean, the fact that the increased, first of all, cost cutting, they want to cut because they're trying to cut the federal budget. And a lot of money goes into making pennies. It really does. And the pennies are pretty much essentially not even worth their weight. I think the same thing can be said probably for the nickel, and I think the nickel will be next. However, we're discussing the penny tonight. We've discussed the nickel in previous videos, and it was kind of ironic. Somebody reached out to me in an email, and the first email that we had communicated was during the nickel scare where people were talking about nickels. And it was just ironic, the timing on that. But with cost, looking for ways to cut cost in the federal budget, I expect that, one, they've already announced they're getting rid of the penny. Obviously, you have to understand the penny, you can't get nothing for it. It's literally obsolete. And that's why they want to get rid of it. It's cool to collectors. I really wonder if they're going to still make them as part of the collectible sets. So if you're one of those set people where you buy the set of coins every year, I think that will be interesting to see if they make them. And if they do, then it's obviously going to be extremely low production on the pennies, which could be interesting opportunity for them to make money. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen to all the copper pennies that are out there, because there are a lot of copper. Even though the majority of the pennies in circulation right now are zinc, there's already been companies that have been combing through looking for the copper. And people have been buying up copper pennies. A lot of you have been buying copper pennies for a while now. In fact, you can go to coinflation.com and find out the actual value of a copper penny. Not a zinc penny, a copper penny. So a copper penny is worth like 3 cents. Now, it might cost 3-4 cents to make a penny, but those pennies now are zinc. The zinc itself does not have as much value. However, zinc has been going up too. And really the cost of everything is going up. And so to make something for a penny, there's not many things you can get for free nowadays. But getting pennies for $25 for a box is an opportunity, I think, of a lifetime. Now, someone out there is going to disagree with me, and they're going to put it in the comments if they haven't already. However, the thing you have to understand is, what can you do with these pennies? You buy a box of pennies for $25. Let's say, for a minute, nothing happens, and you can still spend them. You didn't lose no money. I get a kick out of it when people tell me, you bought a box of $50. Look at all the money you just wasted. I didn't waste nothing. I didn't find no silver, but I still got my $500. And in some cases, I find silver, and I'm like, I didn't lose nothing. I'm cashing in $498, and I'm keeping 4 silver $half and adding it to my collection. Unless you make a mistake and accidentally put some of your collection back in. Which has happened to me before. It's a shame to say. Only the long-term stacker that have been long-term in the channel will get that. I took a lot of heat for accidentally dumping some of my collection in when I cashed in tens of thousands of dollars in change. I actually did a video where I bought $50,000 in $half, only to look through them on the channel. It was pretty crazy. The videos are still on there. And so if you scroll back enough, you can find them. So basically, they're phasing out the penny. And, what is this going to mean? What's going to happen? Honestly, this is the road, I believe, to hyperinflation. It's one of the things that happens. Everything, they start looking for ways to cut costs, but obviously the spending continues. I mean, some of y'all have heard about the new bill that I believe just passed today by one vote. The big, beautiful bill, I think they called it, which is basically going to increase spending. Tax cuts, a lot of different little things. But here's the thing. Ultimately, there's too much money in the system, and stuff is going to go crazy at some point. Is it going to happen today? We don't know when. However, it's going to happen. And things like gold, silver, Bitcoin, a lot of different assets are going to continue to climb. And we're already starting to see it, I believe, with $33.18 silver, as silver has been slowly working its way up again. When you zoom out the last 5 days, you can see 5 days it's higher. Yeah, we just had a little bit of a dip yesterday, but that's nothing. I mean, who knows? We could shoot right past that 33.80 again and go even higher. Taking a quick look at gold, a lot of people were disappointed when gold fell from $3,500 all the way down to like $3,200, but now we're making the climb back up there again at $33.12. And Bitcoin, everybody remembers when Bitcoin hit 106,000, 107,000 and fell all the way to $77,000, taking almost a 30% hit essentially. And now look at where it's at right this minute. We're sitting at $110,000. I am not a hater on Bitcoin. I'm just personally not a believer in it. However, a lot of my friends that that save in Bitcoin, they don't know what to do right now. They're skittish. When I talk to them, they're skittish because they're afraid to sell it, but they're also afraid to buy more because it's so expensive. And one of the things that I was reading today was the new perpetual shares that's going to be offered, essentially they offer a 10% dividend, and this is with Michael Saylor. They offer a 10% dividend, They never expire. They never mature, which means because they're perpetual, they don't have to return. They don't have essentially, it's a loan that they don't have to pay back, which is kind of interesting. I was reading the article. I don't really know much about this yet, so I wasn't going to talk about it, but I found it interesting that that is what's driving it, because the money that they're getting, they are saying that they are going to use it to buy more Bitcoin when they see fit, which tells me that at 110,000 they don't see fit. But their average Bitcoin purchase right now is something like $70,000 per Bitcoin. And here's the thing. The most recent huge purchase where they just bought something like 10,000 more Bitcoin was off a $103,000 cost average. So, I mean, those they can essentially lose only about $8,000 on before they start, if it starts falling $8,000. However, as of right now, when I did the math up, I think I did it based off 111 or 112 when it got up there today. Essentially, that amount came up to $74 million profit in just their most recent Bitcoin acquisition. I can't even say the word. Their acquired Bitcoin that they just recently got. I got that word stuck right on the tip of my tongue. Acquisition. I'm ashamed that I can't even say the word right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting old, guys. Some of y'all know I had my first heart attack, and I'm not even 50. But I'm working on my health now. Taking a quick look, we got to look at the DXY. The DXY at 99.63. We did have it come down a little bit. Not a huge amount that anybody's even worried about. However, this is going to be something that will be a slow road. It'll be a slow road up. It'll be a slow road down. Personally, I mean, we know that this is not really accurate in terms of what the dollar is worth, because technically the DXY only values against currencies that they want to value. They're not going to value it against gold. They're not going to value it against houses. They're not going to value it against any tangible item. They're just going to value it against the countries that they see fit. Almost like if I'm going to run a marathon, I've used this analogy multiple times. If I'm going to run a marathon, and I decide I want to run against somebody in a wheelchair, I want to run against some grandmother, some grandfather, some 10-year-olds. I'm picking the people that I'm running against. Why? So I can guarantee that I'm going to look good in that race. That's exactly what's happening with the dollar and the DXY. The DXY and the US dollar goes against the currencies that they see fit. They go against essentially ally currencies, people that we're allies with, and we essentially can manipulate their currency. If we invest in it, we can make it go up. If we sell out of it, we can make it go down. A lot of people aren't even following what's going on with the treasuries. A lot of people are slowing down buying treasuries. In fact, I think it was Japan that just had their treasury auction, and no one bought the 20 or 30-year bonds from them. And so once you understand, that could be the blueprint of what's going to happen here in the United States if people stop buying the treasury bonds here. And a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen and how this is going to play out, because ultimately it was interesting that they downgraded the U.S. debt, and essentially not even a blink of an eye. The stock market just kept rocking and rolling. Nobody talking about it, nothing. So definitely something to consider. But like I said, today's video... Oh, hey, before I get going, I didn't even talk about that real quick. What happened with the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones and the S&P today. Real quick, I'll do a quick recap on what happened in the stock market. The Dow Jones yesterday closed out slightly down, not even enough to matter, at 41,859. Pretty well flat on the day. It went down a little bit, but it's not down enough that it's even notable in my opinion. And I'll say the NASDAQ went up, but again, barely notable. It went up 0.25% essentially, up 53 points, closing at 18,925. The S&P, which is most people's retirement, basically that ended up pretty well flat on that note too, closing out at 5,842, up 2.6, not percent, 2.6 points. So really not much movement yesterday on the stock market. We are on Friday now, going into holiday weekend, which means it could be really interesting to see what happens and how that plays out. I always wonder on holiday weekends if something major will happen over the holiday weekend that could catapult gold or silver to new levels or even lower levels. I mean, something major could happen. If the stock market opened up and just outright crashed, then essentially a lot of paper selling in precious metals could happen. And if that happens, it will make it look like the spot price is coming down, because it will be, but it will be a temporary thing in my opinion. And so I think on that note, we're going to wrap up today's video. Like I said, if you're a stacker or a collector, I think it may behoove you to just go out and pick up even one box of pennies. I've already told multiple friends that I'm good friends with in real life, and they've gone out and bought a couple boxes of pennies, and they just put them up. They just put them up, and they know down the road, if pennies do get canceled, then essentially they could go up in value. And, yeah, you may not get rich overnight. It may just be something cool that you can hand down to your grandkids, maybe it'll get passed down for generations. About the time that money printing just got so out of hand that, the penny went from being able to go buy a piece of candy to not being able to buy anything, to where they didn't even want them anymore. And you'll have a box of that. A box of history is what I'm going to call it. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you hit the thumbs up button. I hope you checked out all of our great videos. We put out a video every Monday through Friday. I will not be putting up a video this weekend. Just so you know, I am cutting back on the weekend videos because right now there's not much going on in precious metals, and so it's not as exciting. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Check out some of these other great videos, and I will see you again on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody, and have a great day. Bye-bye.